Hello and welcome back to the Open Resourcery. It's Devi, and today we are going to be talking about shadow work and the concept of know thyself. So I know everyone has their own take on shadow work and how it's done and what it is and everything like that. But the way that I am seeing it and the way that I employ it is knowing all the aspects of yourself. So know thyself. And that phrase has been around for a very long time. Think ancient philosophers of Greece. We don't necessarily know which one is the one that originated it because everyone from Diogenes to the tenets of the Oracle of Delphi, they've all said that somebody different came up with it. So in that, I almost believe that it came from deities, the gods themselves. So in shadow work, where we get the term is very simple. It is literally from Jungian psychology. So Jungian psychology, it's pretty recent in terms of history, in terms of the collective unconscious, as he would call it. It's where he divides certain aspects of the self. The ego, the mask, your personality, the persona, the anima or animus, and the self is way deep in there. But shadow work ultimately is for you to be able to identify all of these parts of yourself, to be able to work within all of these aspects of self, to actually be able to take the pieces that fit with you, the pieces that are supposed to be there, and carry on with it, and then shed away that which it's to your detriment. It doesn't fit you anymore. It's like a thorn that was implanted in you when you were a child, and you're finally getting around to removing it. Does it kind of leave a little puckered scar? Yeah, it's going to leave a little puckered scar. But it gets majority of it out, so it's no longer stabbing you. I find shadow work to be a full self-examination, and I find it extremely healthy at the same time, in that you are curious about your own mind, about your own processes, instead of just flittering around in an unconscious way. As magicians, as witches, as practitioners, as spiritual people on the whole, how are we supposed to affect the world around us and command the world around us without knowing what goes on within ourselves? We've talked a lot on here about the microcosm and the macrocosm and how, as above, so below, things of that nature. But remember the other part of that tenet, as within, so without. So if you are taking that time and you are going through the process of self-discovery, and that is probably a better way to put it instead of just shadow work. Like, I know it has like that edgy tone to it, which is like, ooh, I'm doing shadow work. I am a certified badass, right? But that's not what it's about. It is about you literally going within and figuring yourself out, mapping your own roadways within yourself, versus having somebody else do it for you. It is self-therapy. And when you come at it from a point of view that you are mature enough to take it, sometimes it's going to be hard. No lies. Absolutely will be, because there will be moments where you hit a spot that's just like, ooh, that feels like I just got stabbed. It's painful. It's agonizing. But it's part of you. And so you got to keep going through the pain, recognizing that, hey, finding the root cause to pain most of the time, alleviates the pain itself. Because when you understand why or how, it takes away the power that that pain has over you. Everyone likes to talk about triggers and things of that nature in this day and age, like somebody is triggered, somebody is activated in a way that is not necessarily beneficial. But explore those triggers, because everyone has them, even if nobody is wanting to acknowledge that they exist. Everyone has them. So the best thing to do is, if those triggers are loud, that's the one that you need to explore the most. If your trigger is, you see a kid walking by themselves, and there's a gut-wrenching feeling inside of you. Okay, why? What happened in your pattern, in your mode of living, that has made that such a horrible thing for you to see? A kid walking alone doesn't necessarily mean they're in danger. Doesn't necessarily mean that anything's wrong. They could literally be going home from the park. But what in your brain is triggered? What in your brain says, hey, something is off here. It's a horrible gut feeling. I hope they're okay, and da-da-da-da, and you create your own story around it. Of course, hoping that everyone's okay is not a bad thing, but you get what I mean. But going through those moments, the biggest tool that I have said for friends, for clients, for my own children, have a journal. Express that curiosity for yourself. When you find those moments that are loud, that are triggering, that are something that you cannot ignore, okay, go into it with a curious and open mind instead of that judgmental mind. Write down simple questions. What was that feeling that I was feeling on that one? And then you write down and articulate as much as you can. And then become that tenacious 4-year-old that just sits there and asks, why? Why? And break it down further and further and further and further, and you will start to see that there is a pattern here. You'll be able to break these thoughts down into basic concepts. And you'll be able to see where in yourself this lies, so that you can actually release it. You can't release the bird from the cage if you don't know where the cage and the bird are. You can hear it calling, but if the house is so echoey you can't identify where it is, you got to map it out. So that's really what I think of shadow work and how it's done. I love the journal method. If you are not a writer, record it. Just record yourself speaking and talking through it and being able to verbalize it then. If you are somebody that needs that interaction to let it go, get a very trusted friend. If you and your intimate partner are able to completely open up in that way, that is the most beautiful thing to do. Where it's no fear, no judgment, just pure love and allowing that curiosity to blossom. That would be the ultimate, show and display of trust, because you are sharing your shadow work with them. You don't share that with people that, of course, can have bad intentions for you, because you don't need extra negativity or extra bad things placed on you. But if you need that extra person, Find a very, very trusted individual to do so with you. You can also go to therapy for it. Therapy is also, it's a great tool. But it is a tool because you have to do the work. The therapist is not there to do the work for you. And a really good therapist, towards the end of your time, will let you know that, hey, we are ending our time together. You no longer need me. And that's a beautiful thing. Keep that in mind for yourself, of course. But with this, know thyself, shadow work, it's a very simple concept. How do we apply it? Why do we do it? We are practitioners. We are magicians. We are people who have seen that there is a way to manipulate the world around us to do what it is that we desire, either on the spiritual front or on the physical front. But how do you expect to have your will be done if you can't get your will out? If you can't create that pathway for your will to get out into the world? And that's a huge part of it as well. That is one of the reasons why a lot of people have said the witch's creed is know thyself. Truly, I think it's any practitioner's creed. Know thyself is a fundamental building block for this. That's huge. But we can always elaborate on this later. But this is Devi with the Open Sorcery on knowing thyself and doing some shadow work. And I will see you guys next time.